Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 5th episode of EDspresso Café. Today, I am joined by two of my favorite humans, Leigh and Anthony Egbers, who are incredibly special educators to me and who are really the reason that the ZAEG tribe even exists, that it's even a thing, and that it is still a thing all these years later. So thank you so much for being here and for offering up your time again to chat to us this afternoon, and just for us to have an opportunity to share our heart for the ZAEG tribe with us, right? So I think let's maybe start off with Anthony, chatting to you a little bit. So you are the
Director of Technology. Director of Technology.
There we go. At Dainton College, you're also a Google certified trainer, and you're a book creator ambassador, and you were an Apple education trainer, and you've got all of these titles and all of this knowledge. And I'm just really keen to know a little bit of your story and how it is that you got to this point, and also maybe if you can tell us a little bit about how you stay on top of things, how you've managed to achieve all this, and how you managed to continue to achieve all of this.
Okay, it's a long way from being a phys ed teacher, which is what I studied. So it's a big step. So what happened is I joined Dainton College 12 years ago, believe it or not, and the school was already embarking on an iPad journey and all that sort of stuff, and it sort of sucked me in. And the whole journey started with just that introduction. It sounds weird. It sounds like an Apple advert, but it is what it is. The iPad, I just saw the possibilities there. And I started learning, and I started asking questions and started to see how I could use it to teach DT, which is what I was hired for when I joined Dainton College, and just started asking questions of the people I was working with here. And I got some amazing answers from them, so don't get it wrong, but I also needed more. So I started looking around to see what I could do and where I could do it and how I could do it and what ideas I could use on the original iPad. The iPad 1 had no camera. So you had to figure out what you could do without a camera and all that stuff. Luckily, that was only for... Yeah, I have, believe it or not. I've still got some. I'm letting the kids at school take them apart to see how they work inside, which is quite cool. But so I started looking around to meet people. And that's initially was quite difficult because not a lot of schools in South Africa were doing that sort of stuff yet. So where did I go? And around about that time, the first ever conference at Parklands was held for the Google Education Conference with the EdTech team. And at that conference, I met a few people, one of them being Lindsay. I think she was at Parklands at the time, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And we started chatting about how we could connect. And then she followed me onto it, and I followed her and saw some of the people she was meeting along the way, and started to build this network of educators around the world, who I could ask questions of and get ideas from and give ideas to, which is part of what I was doing. So that's really how I got involved in this online building your personal learning network, or rather a bunch of friends online.
Because PLN sounds like this PLN thing, but actually it's just like our people, right?
It's a bunch of friends who know stuff. Exactly. And so that's how exactly, and that's exactly how I stay on top of things now. I reach out to people, I ask questions, I go online. It's just a great way to connect, and that's where all my information comes from. If I have a problem, I reach out, and somebody out there has had that problem and solved it in spades before. And what's even better is when they haven't, and you can work together to do that. So I've worked with American educators to solve problems. I've worked on Facebook to solve problems. I've worked on WhatsApp. I've worked on Twitter. I've worked wherever I can find the information, and that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah. I feel like that if there's anybody here from Parklands, you're in the nexus, because I feel like that's where it all starts. Because for me as well, when I went to go and teach at Parklands, I was suddenly all this technology, everything there, and I had no idea how to deal with it or what I could use it for or anything like that. And I was actually teaching with Lindsay, and she said to me, Leigh, you need to get yourself onto Twitter. And I was like, Lindsay, we work at Parklands. We have no time for anything else. And she's like, it's absolutely fine. I use my Twitter in the morning when you have your toilet time. You just sit and you scan Twitter and get your ideas. And that sat with me like 5 years later. Toilet time, Twitter.
Toilet time, Twitter.
That's the best thing I ever did. You know,
Maybe
toilet
that's a challenge.
Toilet or not, Twitter is a good thing. So why do you say it's the best thing you ever did, Leigh? Like, what is the value of Twitter been for you?
So I don't think we can do anything in isolation at all. I'm only one person. I have a finite number of ideas.
Isolated, so I'll jump in.
Yeah. Sorry. I feel like I've lost everybody. So I only have a finite number of ideas, and when I go onto Twitter, I scan through for 5 minutes, and I could get another 10 amazing ideas from people around there. So I've just found it the best thing in the world for me. It's just so inspiring.
I think it's a great kind of bite-sized exposure to what's out there and what's happening. And it kind of serves for me, at least, as a springboard into, like, I can read a little bit more about this, or I can ask that person about that, and I can kind of, dive deeper where I'm seeing possibilities and things that are interesting. So yeah, I mean, I've had very much the same experience of Twitter being like the best staff room in the world. It's like all the people that you wish you worked with in person, but they're just right there, and you can connect with them, and you can chat to them.
Exactly. And I mean, if I'm at a loss to do something and I just want an amazing idea, I can actually just go onto Twitter and ping it out. And within like 10 minutes, I could have responses from people who can help me out, give me ideas, inspire. I think we've lost Ant.
We'll get him back.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back.
Why can you leave him backstage? Do you think we should?
Oh, he's back. You're back.
Everything went blank. Sort of like before Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Like when I'm hearing us chatting now, I just think about where ZAG started. I mean, it was in 2017 when I did my first keynote, actually, called Once Upon Our Time. That was about the narrative of education in South Africa, because I was just so disheartened by nobody having a single positive thing to say about education in South Africa, and like just nobody sharing stories of the amazing stuff that I know is happening. And actually, it was Monique Franzen who came to me after my first keynote when I was like, we need to shift the narrative. We need to share our stories. And she was like, Lindsay, you need a hashtag. And then Leigh was like, okay, well, if we have a hashtag, then we need to do something with this hashtag. And like we started the monthly Twitter chat ideas. And I think like now, I mean, we use the word often, but like it's really become a tribe for us. And why do you what does it mean? What does this tribe idea mean to you? Why do we call Zeta Edu a tribe? And what are some of the things that we've done in this, in this tribe journey that we've been on?
Well, like I said in our planning for this, I feel like I'm the first disciple of Zeta Edu, because I saw that 2017 keynote, and it just struck a chord that. So often we see the bad side of education in South Africa, and we see what's not working, and we see that budgets aren't being spent and all that stuff. So what was good about it was that it was bringing the positives. And over the last few years, that Zeta Edu tribe on my Twitter must have grown to 400 or 500 people that connect regularly. Not all the chats are that busy, let's be honest, but there's those people that are out there looking for hashtag Zeta Edu, and we're connecting with them. So for me, the power of that is I'm now, instead of only sharing my story and getting advice from people who are not in our environment, I now have this tribe, this group of people, this amazing, I think tribe's really the only word, because it's just a group of people who have similar ideas. And I would never call it a PLN, because that's, again, it sounds wrong. But they share it in my context, and they share the problems I'm having in, like, look, I'm at a privileged school, I always say that, but connectivity problems do happen, and load shedding happens, and this does, it happens in Texas now as well, so we don't have to feel that bad. But
like COVID happened.
Exactly. So I have these people now through hashtag Zeta Edu, where we can problem solve in the South African context together, and that's really what it looked for. So my favorite example of that is a WhatsApp group that was started sort of on a whim, joining 6 people together just to get through the initial lockdown period, and has grown to nearly 180 or whatever it is, people who constantly communicate and constantly problem solve for each other. So you're not isolated in a silo or isolated by yourself trying to solve problems. Put it out there, ask people, how are you coping with this online learning? How do you cope with 80 teachers suddenly having to connect with 1,200 students? What are you doing? Where are we going? What platforms are you using? All that sort of stuff. And the great thing about WhatsApp now is this group of people is instant. You ask a question, you've got an answer in a few minutes. Where sometimes Twitter and some of the other social platforms take a bit longer. WhatsApp is a much more direct way of doing it. So this EdTech Leaders Group has been a real saving over the past 12 months or so.
I also really enjoy watching. I was just going to say, I really enjoy watching on the Twitter, on the WhatsApp group, how people bounce off of each other as well. So you might ask a question and then somebody offers a solution, and then somebody else bounces in with an idea of how you could even maybe better that solution or do something else. And all of a sudden, like 10 people going, oh, that's such a great idea, I'm going to try it out. And then they even give you feedback. And it's just such an inspiring place to be in.
Yeah, totally. And for me, it's even better. It's like, guys, how do I do this? And they send you the example. It's not like, oh, go plan this for yourself. Here, I've done this, have it. And that's the real purpose of a PLN for me, is why reinvent the wheel? If something's been done already, share it. Lots of our schools keep things to themselves a lot. No, not our schools. I'm not going to say that. We are taught to keep things to ourselves a lot in SA education. We don't share as readily as we should. But that's what the PLN or the learning network or this tribe has done, is we've learned how to share ideas and not hold them to ourselves to benefit everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's what it is for me with these monthly Twitter chats. So we get together once a month. Sometimes I actually haven't checked in on Twitter for that month just because life has been so crazy. And then I know, though, that there's a set topic, and people are going to share. And what we try and always do with these chats is create types of questions that force people to share ideas and get it out there. And then all of a sudden, just seeing that engagement, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that 1 hour on ZAG a month is like caffeine directly entered my veins. And all of a sudden, I'm just buzzing with ideas and inspiration. And all I want to do is get back into the classroom.
No, absolutely.
Like a little shot of EDspresso, isn't it?
It is.
I'm actually gonna pop. I see that we have a couple of people with us watching live. And Art from Sweet Valley Primary is really rightly mentioning, hi Art, that he'd like to see
Sweet Valley
into the stories of schools who are, sorry, loud motorbike, of schools in less resourced communities. And that is absolutely, I don't think necessarily, Art, that we need a new hashtag, but I think that is absolutely the vision of hashtag ZAEdu. When I started the hashtag, like I said, it was about stories of innovation and around connecting people. And innovation is not just technology. Innovation is not limited to spaces where we have, lots of resources financially and that kind of thing, right? Human resource is the most powerful one when it comes to innovation anyway, right? And creativity and ideas and collaboration, that's where the magic is. So we really are intentional about continuing to grow that tribe. And actually our ZAEdu chat for this month, which is going to be on Wednesday, so this coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the evening, our topic is sharing is caring. And we're going to be chatting about and strategizing around how do we share more, how do we cope together, how do we divide and conquer, what does sharing look like, what are people needing, and really continuing to connect the community and grow the community. So if you're watching this and you've never joined a ZAEdu chat, we've got a little guide for you. You can find it at bit.ly/Twitter-chat-how. If you've never done a Twitter chat before, we've got guys in the WhatsApp group who joined the first time and they were like, oh my word, this is just insane. And it really is a power hour of being able to connect to amazing people and ask questions, find people that teach what you teach, that teach the age you teach, subject, sharing ideas, asking questions. It really is just a phenomenal space. And coming soon to Purple ZA's website is going to be a whole collection of stories of innovation from across South African classrooms that we're hoping to build and grow on, because I know that people really connect with stories. And I think sometimes teachers say again, Leigh?
I just can't wait to see them. I'm chomping at the bit.
An awesome collection of amazing stories, but I know we're going to just be adding more and more as those go live. But I think I've seen a lot of times people, they say, oh, I can't innovate in this context or in this subject or with this curriculum or with this class size. And I think when teachers see stories of other teachers doing what they need to be doing or doing what they could be doing, and innovating and bringing, real creative learning to their classrooms, then it's a lot for people.
So for me,
what Arthur was saying, just one thing about pulling in those stories from more under-resourced schools. I actually have the most lovely stories of people from teachers that I was working with for my master's, and I need to pull out there specifically. There is a lot going on in under-resourced schools that we don't know about because they haven't found us yet. So I think we need to really put that out and pull them in somehow.
Yeah, so for me, Art was one of my original Twitter people who we met at a conference, and he's definitely somebody who shares everything. Some of my original ideas came from Art, and I think the more we reach out to these underprivileged schools, the better. They're not left in the dark as much as they don't have access to all the stuff that we have. So it's definitely something. I'm not sure. Again, I agree with Lindsay. I don't think we need another hashtag. We just need to make this more of a hashtag that's inclusive of everybody and not just a certain sector of Twitter users. Stretching it out there might be the difficult thing, but it's one step at a time and taking it through.
Absolutely. And I think it really is, it's about relationship, right? And that's what we value. Like we value relationships, and we value that generosity and that selflessness, because we all believe in the same thing, right? That's one of the other things that makes us a tribe, is that we have the same vision, and we know what is possible, and we really want to work on building that. And I think, and that's a great example that you gave of how these, kind of met once at a conference or saw each other once on Twitter, relationships really can grow and blossom into incredible things, right?
Absolutely.
I think I met you at a conference first, Ant.
Definitely, and then followed on Twitter. So it works both ways, and I think that's the really cool thing. So especially with Twitter, and I know there's Facebook communities and everything, but I find Twitter so instant. Like you meet somebody, you get their handle, and you're connected. I think every business card should have a Twitter handle personally, but they don't. But for me, that's the experience. I don't forget people because I'm now following them on Twitter. Like the first original conferences we went to, Lindsay, you'll know, you met people, you're like, this is amazing, let's have dinner, let's do all this stuff, and then it was gone. And the advent of this Twitter has really allowed me to keep following those people, keep seeing what they're doing, keep asking them questions. So it's taken that conference, that connection way beyond anything I ever expected when I first started with this.
Have you met many people?
I've met quite a few. Especially what I love is when the overseas guests come and you feel like you know them already. So one of my favorite guys to speak to is Ken Shelton. If you don't follow him, it's definitely somebody you should be following. He talks about tequity and tech equity, or whatever you want to call it. And I followed him for years, and then he came to a Google conference, and it was like we had known each other for all those years. Sat down, had a coffee and maybe a beer or two, although coffee's better apparently, and just chatted about something that's really struck a spark in both of us, is tech equity, or tequity as he calls it. Because I firmly believe in that. I firmly believe South Africa is missing out a little bit on tequity, and although the ideas are there, how do we implement them? And he was talking about how the same situation exists all over the world, obviously in his situation in America. But Lanier, Molly, just all sorts of people that you meet, and you're like, wow, these are the guys I've been following. And then you meet them in person, it's like you've known each other forever. Yeah.
And I mean, now, like Ken is one of our guests on our panel of the anti-racism, equity, belonging, anti-racism webinar series that we're running starting tomorrow.
Such an amazing series. Everybody in the country should do it, I swear.
Yeah.
So we've still got a couple of spots if anyone's tuning in and last minute wants to join us for that. Just really doing the work to make our schools places where everyone belongs. And I think in the name of these EDspressos being quick, short shots of inspiration, I kind of want to wrap us up. Although we could definitely be chatting all afternoon, but I think it really is about community, it's about connection, and it's about collaboration, right? Because actually, we really can only achieve great things when we're working together, right? Like alone we are smart, together we are brilliant is the whole idea. And I think there's a lot of competition in education and a lot of schools competing and tech businesses competing, but actually if it's a competition, if education is a competition, no one's winning and the children are losing. So if you're watching this and you're not already connected with us, please do hop onto #ZAEdu and get connected with us. We'd love to do great things. We'd love to do great things with you. Because
see you Wednesday.
Yeah, see you on Wednesday.
Let's start off Wednesday, 8 o'clock with our Twitter chat, and then let's take it from there. I think I just want to say as we wrap up, thank you so much to both of you for the time that you give to your community. I think people don't always realize how much of your own time and energy you are bringing to this, and how much time it takes to organize things like these chats and these WhatsApp groups and all of that. So thank you very much from my side.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a two-way street. So let's just keep it that way.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep connecting.
Keep learning.
Keep inspiring.
Cheers.